So the other day, Steven Crowder responded to that video of him basically verbally and emotionally abusing his wife. You guys can go back and check out the segment. You know the deal. She was pregnant. She wanted to take the car to go get groceries. He basically is like, you're not doing that. I'm not allowing you to do that. You need to do your wifely duties. You need to show discipline and respect. You've boxed me in here. I can't go to the gym. I can't go to see my friends. And I mean, it's insane. First of all, you should have 2 cars at least. You're a multimillionaire. Second of all, it's like he's just on a power trip. He's just like he's a prick, right? Like he's just a prick. He likes to control people. That's very clear. All the reporting that has come out since then has proven that. You have people who've worked with him for years, who've been loyal to him for years, who now come out and say, yeah, this guy is terrible. Well, one of the things he said when responding to his wife, he implied multiple times like, hey, in the state of Texas, they have no-fault divorce. So she wanted to leave me and I didn't have any power to tell her no. But you got this sense from him like, I don't agree with that law. I would get rid of that law. That's what it felt like he was saying. He implied it like 2 or 3 times. Well, now we see the impact that stuff like this is having. So this is in Rolling Stone. The next front in the GOP's war on women. No-fault divorce. Steven Crowder is part of a growing right-wing chorus calling for an end to modern divorce laws. Steven Crowder, the right-wing podcaster, is getting a divorce. Quote, no, this was not my choice, Crowder told his online audience last week. My then wife decided that she didn't want to be married anymore. In the state of Texas, that is completely permitted. Crowder's emphasis on the state of Texas makes it sound like the Lone Star State, Jesus. I'm a total moron. I don't know why any of you listening. Makes it sound like the Loner State, I said originally. Makes it sound like the Boner State is an outlier, but all 50 states and the District of Columbia have no-fault divorce laws on the books. Laws that allow either party to walk away from an unhappy marriage without having to prove abuse, infidelity, or other misconduct in court. It was a hard-fought journey to get there. It took more than 4 decades to end fault-based divorce in America. California was the first state to eliminate it in 1969. New York didn't come around until 2010 is when New York came around. 2010. By the way, holy cow, this just sparked a memory for me. My parents got divorced before 2010 in New York. That means there was not any no-fault divorce at that time. And I kind of vaguely remember, yeah, they had to like come up with a reason why they should be allowed to get a divorce. And I think it was like irreconcilable differences or something like that. Like there's a bunch of categories. It's like, well, which of these categories do you fall into, which is why you want the divorce? And then the state has to approve it, right? And I think it was like irreconcilable differences, but they had to come up with a reason. They couldn't just be like, we want a divorce. Amazing. They continue, and there are caveats. Mississippi and South Dakota still only allow no-fault divorce if both parties agree to dissolve the marriage, for example. Well, that's not really no fault, is it? Researchers who track the emergence of no-fault divorce laws state by state over that period have found that reform led to dramatic drops in the rates of female suicides and domestic violence. Jesus Christ. So in other words, if you tie women up in miserable marriages and really give them no hope of leaving, turns out a lot of these women commit suicide and there's a lot more domestic violence. They continue, as well as decreases in spousal homicide of women. Oh my God. The decreases, one researcher explained, were not just because abused women and men could more easily divorce their abusers, but also because potential abusers knew that they were more likely to be left. Whoa. Today, more than 2/3 of all heterosexual divorces in the U.S. are initiated by women. By the way, that is not a surprise. I'm surprised, if anything, it's not higher than that. More than 2/3 of all heterosexual divorces in the U.S. are initiated by women. Republicans across the country are now reconsidering no-fault divorce. There isn't a huge mystery behind the campaign. Like the crusades against abortion and contraception, making it more difficult to leave an unhappy marriage is about control. That is definitely the case I got with Crowder. Crowder's home state could be the first to eliminate it if the Texas GOP gets its way. Last year, the Republican Party of Texas added language to its platform calling for an end to no-fault divorce. Quote, we urge the legislature to rescind unilateral no-fault divorce laws, to support covenant marriage, and to pass legislation extending the period of time in which a divorce may occur to 6 months after the date of filing for divorce. Oh my God, man. Oh my God. The Texas GOP retains an iron grip on both chambers of the state legislature, and Republicans hold every single elected office statewide, from governor and lieutenant governor to the railroad commissioners and judges. Should they decide to prioritize ending no-fault divorce this legislative session, they would likely have the votes they need to turn their platform into law. This isn't just Texas. A similar proposal is being workshopped by the Republican Party of Louisiana. The Nebraska GOP has affirmed its belief that no-fault divorce should only be acceptable to couples without children. At the Republican National Convention in 2016, the last time the party platform was overhauled, delegates considered adding language declaring children are made to be loved by both natural parents united in marriage. Legal structures such as no-fault divorce, which divides families and empowers the state, should be replaced by a fault-based divorce. It's unclear whether the party's twice-divorced nominee for president weighed in on the debate at that time. Despite its deeply embarrassing premise that the only way to retain a partner is to literally trap them in the relationship, right-wing blowhards like Crowder have been embracing arguments against no-fault divorce with increasing frequency. Within the past year, conservative pundits Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, and Tim Pool have all criticized it. Crowder first complained about no-fault divorce in a segment last April when his divorce proceedings were already underway. Oh, look at that. There needs to be changes to marital laws, and I'm not even talking about same-sex marriage. I'm talking about divorce laws, talking about alimony laws, talking about child support laws. Anyway, this goes on here. Not much longer, but it goes on. Guys, unbelievable. Look, I just need you guys to understand a very basic point here. Republicans like to say the word freedom. They really do. And they like to pretend every now and then, we believe in small government. When they say they believe in small government, what they mean is, I want a government that stays out of the way of corporations. That's what they mean. Get the government out of the way of business. When they say freedom, what they really mean is, I want business owners to have free reign over all of their employees. So in other words, the boss man is the boss man. And I believe in their freedom economically. So in other words, they believe capitalists should have control over their workers in a way where the worker is just viewed as property, right? You're just a cog in a machine, right? So that's what they mean when they say freedom. That's what they mean when they say small government. What they don't mean is actual freedom and actual small government for your private life. They don't mean that. Now, me personally, as somebody who's on the left, that's what I believe when it comes to your personal life. I believe in small government in your personal life, and I believe in freedom in your personal life. If you're gay, you should be able to marry whoever the hell you want to marry. If you're trans, you should have the right to get, a gender-affirming care. If you are a recreational drug user, you should have the right to put in your body whatever you want to put in your body as long as you're not hurting anybody else. If you're in an unhappy marriage and you want to get divorced, you should have a right to get divorced, and you shouldn't have to prove yourself or fit into any particular category or say this guy cheated on me or abused me or whatever. So I actually believe in small government and freedom when it comes to your private life, when it comes to your personal life, when it comes to social issues. You won't find anybody more pro-freedom than me on that front. And these guys, even though they pretend they're pro-freedom, they pretend they're pro-small government, when it comes to social issues, they're actually big government authoritarians who are anti-freedom and anti-liberty. And don't take my word for it, take their word for it. They're not in favor of gay marriage, the freedom to gay marry. They're all in favor of the drug war. Many of these people are in favor of banning gender-affirming care, even for adults. And now they're in favor of getting rid of no-fault divorce. Think about that. They want the government to force people to stay in a relationship. Can you imagine how embarrassing and pathetic that is? Like, it just, in any context, your first girlfriend or your first boyfriend or whatever, and it's like they indicate to you, like, I'm kind of done with this and I want to move on, and you're like, I'm not allowing you to do that. Like, what does that even mean? You're not, like, what does that mean? What are you going to do? You're going to force them to come to your house? You're going to force them to make out with you or have sex or, watch Netflix together? Like, what does that even mean? What does that mean? I'm not allowing you to do that. It doesn't really matter if you're not allowing. It's not on you. It's not your decision. This is a free person who can make a free decision with their own life. And they're saying, no. No. And since in the overwhelming majority of cases, it's women who initiate the divorce, they're saying, you must stay with this guy who you don't want to be with. This is, man. It's really something. It's really something. Anyway, look, just understand what they stand for, right? That's the main point here. And they are, either they're Christian fundamentalists or they might not identify as such, but they're in favor of Christian fundamentalist rules and laws in society. It's draconian, it's primitive, it's authoritarian, and they know it's unpopular too. You think they don't know it's unpopular? Which is why, like, they sort of except for Steven Crowder, who's a very, very I'm a divorced man energy going out there right now. My wife left me energy. But outside of him, it's like they believe this. They try to keep it on the low. They try to be quiet about it because they know our actual opinions are not popular. It's like why in, where was it? In Kansas, I believe it was. They had that vote. The people got to vote on whether or not they have a right to choose to have an abortion or not. And voters in deep red Kansas were like, we're against the pro-lifers and we're pro-choice. Kansas. They may have even had that in Nebraska too. Like all these red states, you would think, oh, it's going to go the other. No. So these people know their positions are not popular. So they try to We'll get rid of no-fault divorce, but don't tell anybody. Just have people realize when they're about to get divorced. Oh man, it's unbelievable, isn't it? It is unbelievable. Anyway, there you go. There's your choice. Now you guys know, man, I'm tough as the next person on the Democratic Party, right? I think they're way too neoliberal. They're way too incrementalist. I have many, many issues with them. I do. But they ain't getting rid of no-fault divorce. Like there's some issues where there is no false equivalence. There is no comparison. Democrats are more pro-choice than Republicans are, right? Like they're more in favor of legalizing marijuana. We've seen that the blue states are the ones that are legalizing marijuana. On some issues, Democrats are just better. They just are. Even your run-of-the-mill standard annoying-ass, corporate-ass Democrat is still better than the Republicans on shit like this. So on this show, I give you facts. I don't do false equivalence. I don't argue in narratives. I give you information, right? And the information here is very straightforward. These guys are fucking crazy. This is crazy. And this is what they're trying to do. It's really something. All right, guys. That's what I got for you today. I love y'all very much, as always. Subscribe to the channel. Please, 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 please. Now we're going to try to get to 10 million, get that next plaque. I don't even know what the 10 million plaque looks like, but it must be awesome. Because the 100,000 one, the original 100,000 one was mediocre. The newer one was okay. Then the 1 million is chef's kiss. So let's get that 10 million one. Support the show on Patreon. Support Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. You could tip on YouTube. There's a thanks button below if you like what we do here. I love y'all. And again, you can listen to the full shows over on Spotify. We post every show as an audio podcast over on Spotify, so you can go check that out as well. And that's all I got for you. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Much love. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.